Hi everyone, my name is Mary T. O'Connor and I am coming to you from Leash Offaly ETB. This is my UDL redesign activity and I've called it Creating a Connected Community because that's what I ended up doing, creating a connected community. So my backstory, I came to adult education at a later stage. I was almost 40 when I came back into it. Came back in through part-time learning and I had full-time commitments. So I was working full-time. I had my family and I had other things going on as well. But what I found is that I was learning in a vacuum. I felt I had no peer support, I had little teacher support, or if there was, I didn't know where to access it. I wasn't sure, was I comparable to everybody else in the class as well, because I had nobody to match up with. I had nobody to bounce ideas off. Also, I didn't even know, would I even be missed if I dropped out of the class? So it was a very isolating experience I found. The class that I chose to do my UDL redesign with is in Tullamore Further Education Centre and it is the Special Needs Assisting Level 6. I have them for 3 hours a week, one night a week. Now they're night class students, so they're not there during the day, and I feel that they're a very neglected sector in adult education. When they get to the centre, when they come in, there's no facilities open for them. They don't know who's the point of contact in the college because all the administration staff has gone home. They have no idea who their classmates are. They don't know, how do I connect if I have a problem? What if I miss a class? What's the code for the Wi-Fi? How can I print off documents? Have I even got computer access? I don't know. What if my laptop is broken and I have no laptop? How do I engage with the tutor? How do I engage with my classmates? Now, if you throw into the mix the year of 2020 and COVID-19, there's a lot more anxieties that nighttime students have to face if they're in the vulnerable category for COVID-19, if a family member is vulnerable. The big issue of I can't see your face. So they're coming, profile of my students are they're from 18 up to the age of 60. Some of them haven't been in education for about 40 years. Some of them are not good with technology. They don't know what to expect when they come in, and then they can't see the tutor's face or they can't see their classmate's face. Not only that, but a lot of them can't really understand what you're saying through the mask. It's difficult, and if you have a hearing difficulty, it's made all the worse. I had the embarrassment then of having to ask students maybe 3 or 4 times, what is the question they're asking me, because I can't hear it through the particular mask that they're wearing. There's also the anxiety of whether they'll catch COVID-19 if they do come to the class. So you might wonder, what's all this got to do with universal design for learning? Well, I'm a big believer in connectedness and that if people learn in a community that they believe that they belong to, then they will engage. And once they're engaged, they'll comprehend. And if they comprehend, they'll stay on and they'll stick with it. And if they know that somebody has their back, they'll keep with it. And all that put together creates a successful outcome. And then everybody is happy. So the UDL framework encapsulates multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and expression. But I found that when I was working on this project, that you couldn't really kind of separate some of them. Some of them work together in unison, as you'll see with the following. So the first guideline that really hit me was to foster collaboration and communication. I myself, when I had been in part-time education, felt very disconnected from all the other students, from the college itself. I didn't feel as if I was part of the college. So my first thing to do was to ask the students how would they like to be communicated with and how would they like to communicate with each other. So they unanimously suggested that they were all using WhatsApp as it was. It was within the normal framework of their day. So why not just continue to know what to go with what they were familiar with? So we set up two WhatsApp groups, one for the learners exclusively, where they could talk about the tutor and they could give out about the tutor if they wanted to, but they could also use it for practical questions, for timetabling, for peer discussion, for personal engagement. What the hell was she talking about last night? That kind of thing. So we also set up a WhatsApp group that included me. It was for more guided feedback on how to create assignments, and it was more like a mentoring tool that they could use. I also threw out a few pre-class questions for reflection, and then maybe we discuss them when we would be in the class, and that worked very well. Now, WhatsApp is good. It's good for communicating, but to deliver on materials and to scaffold study skills, we also used Microsoft Teams. So this, as I said to you before, encapsulated the three legs of UDL, the engagement, the action and expression, and the representation. So because I set it out in such a way that it was clearly organized by subject matter in distinct channels, I included timelines for when the study needed to be done. I made it easy to navigate and I explained well in the first class. So I made sure nobody went home after the first class without knowing how to navigate Teams and what to expect. I encouraged conversation and shared research through chat in each channel, which worked fantastically. Because if they came up with, say, a good YouTube video that they saw, they could link it in, put the link in the conversation, and share their knowledge with their fellow classmates and me, because I'm always learning as well. So I love it when students come up with new ideas. So I put in built-in reminders and checklists when deadlines were approaching. And not only that, but I showed some prompts for a step-by-step approach to assignments. So the likes of headings and word counts and examples of past assignments that did well. I gave them examples so they had something to scaffold. How I represented the classes then, I used PowerPoint and videos and materials, and these were always put up on Teams in advance for the learners because some of them like to print them off before the class. We used the captions in the classroom for those who found it difficult to hear through the mask. We used Padlet to save from those embarrassments that I was talking about asking learners to repeat themselves. I got two additional screens installed into the classroom halfway down the class because with social distancing and me not being able to walk around the class, and sometimes people couldn't read what the projector had at the top of the class. So I linked to easy language videos and YouTubes that explain subject matters in real life scenarios. And that's very important, especially with COVID, because this particular class wasn't going to get to go out and work experience. So we needed to give them some real scenarios so they could scaffold what they learned. Now, I mentioned that some of my students were in the vulnerable category and some of them had people at home who were vulnerable, so they weren't comfortable about coming into class. So I created a dual audience class. So I would deliver an in-class class, but at the same time I was using Teams then for the people at home. So it was a simultaneous class that was going on. But it wasn't just me talking to the class. I got the help of the students who were in the class to engage the ones online as well. So they were monitoring any of the feedback or any of the questions that were coming from the students that were at home. Some of the feedback was too much information given before the class can be overwhelming and actually put learners off. That scaffolding is very much appreciated, particularly when students only have one class a week. The biggest thing, though, was having direct contact with fellow classmates because they felt that they had somebody who was there for them and that kept them going through COVID. Both WhatsApp groups gave the course a human touch I hadn't expected. That was from Sheila. I made good friends. That was from Richard. Contact with classmates lightened the load for me, said Aoife. So UDL has made me look at my classroom setting. It's made me create a community in my classroom It's helped me with that. And I can see a whole load of new areas that I'd love to connect in the future. So thanks very much for listening.